Okay, I'm going to read a poem, a recent poem, a long one, like a little book called NumInosum. NumInosum is a irreducible event, experience of sacred power, power beyond the human. NumInosum, an alchemical reverie in a Blakean mood. There are 3 epigraphs here. I heard a strong voice crying out to me, "Man, get away from here before all the gates are shut, for the moment of closure is come." Ostanes. Be glad you have suffered the suffering which you never suffered before. Aristotle. They dance around the dying, and they drink the howl and groan. They catch the shrieks in cups of gold. They hand them to one another. These are the sports of love, and these the sweet delights of amorous play. Tears of the grape, the death sweat of the cluster, the last sigh of the mild youth who listens to the luring songs of Luva. William Blake Milton. 1. Leaden skies muffle bay's dull sheen, fire at the seam, edge slit, light, dark water sky, last convulsive gasp of together's elusive, incandescent bond, world splits in 2, gaping whole excision leaves of further iterations of ineffable aura of face etched in mind, in heart, in soul's bottomless freefall through belly's pit, and tears, absent touch suffuses dark, with dread erupts into eyes nothing, ruins in the wake of swell, and pitch batters the wall, surge from below, chaotic churn, cresting. 2. The beatific concubine foretold in the annals of anguished anima encounters appears out of the blue, hot and shimmering white, resplendent, ripe, moist promise, looking for a little romance in love's palace, a do-si-do with Aphrodite calling the steps, passion's reward in love's eyes other. Eyes within eyes animate chthonic surge. Her outstretched hands brim with secrets promise further knowledge, spectre of love's wild ways, beyond fidelity's bond. And who can say no to a little sweet passion when the moon's fat blood runs hot, eyes smolder across eons, offer tousled sheets, languid sun-drenched mornings, long ago warmth, and tangled limbs alive with the beginning of the world. This is an illustrated poetry book. 3. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fight of the century, an epic grudge match between old, you could even say primordial opponents. In this corner, weighing in at a trim 126 fighting pounds, wearing a cute little white number, and with a record of 956 wins and 1 loss, the terrible mother of flowers, looking to make up for that loss and finally get into the marriage bed. And in this corner, a little paunchy at 200 pounds, not to mention almost bald, wearing all black and blissfully unaware there's even a fight, is our hero, disconcerted at news of rising waters and the sudden dissolution of the ring, not to mention the arena, leaves him quietly flailing in turbulent ectoplasmic mind surges, while being pummeled relentlessly against the ropes. 4. Love in the ruins is a humdinger, lights up lapsed pledges of regular dream with a touch of oracular wonder, a spark and escape into gold-flecked eyes, liquid welcome to goddesses' imaginary bedroom, where imaginary words become entangled in sweaty sheets of unbound desire, a burst dam, torrential, later entered into the record as marvelous and rare. A nice literary formulation omits ravenous ghost surge chaos out of the pit to feed off eons of loss, drive love into shadowed corner possessed by history's shattered dream and tortured soul's continual song of imaginary love's death in sweat-soaked sheets of imagination, not to knock imagination, or hot and sweaty words that obviously hit their mark, starved for touch in the gray lands of regular day. But to leap into the distant water is asking a lot if you get the hesitant gist, while she was up for fun and adventure, thrill of Aphrodite's touch swells flesh, fills soul with power to interreceive and be of love, be love, love she knew, all unaware the terrible mother of flowers waited, had waited 1,000 years in the depths where image royals banished with angelic help from the marriage bed, thrown into the dark, expelled from home, apart from memories of drives in Gypsy, her deep blue 52 Bel Air ragtop, steed through brilliant desert wildflowers superbloom. She waited patiently for a spark in the dark, and when she saw in Aphrodite clouds surround them, felt sea flow in flesh, old magic surge and tumultuous between. The mother of flowers rose unseen from depths, trailing shadow, alive with hope to finally fill the unfillable hole of want in her soul, freed from the nightmare hunger. She went to them, lavished them with all the beauty death had stolen, with love's gleam robbed by fathers who had caught her in a net, nailed her to the ground with nails that wailed and shrieked, demanded her love, demanded she give up her hunger for the hunger of others, ripped sweet, brief touch of freedom's beauty from her soul, left her only deep passion's ultimate bliss promise, and grief haunts heart with light's assured meaning's elusive flicker in dark, dark burning spirit flame, whatever that is in dark jewel's center. It sure ain't romance. And when romance shows up, it's too late. The split world moans with pain of inscrutable loss. I think this means something different for you than it does for me. 5. The way in resists easy access through normal channels of thought, whatever that word swirl of meanings, focus and unfocus and over. No, just look inside and there it is, vicissitudes of primordial eros, plain as day for all the world to gawk at and then run like hell before it sees you too. And waters awaken at the edge of something almost visible in the swirl of shadow, wails, fear, rage, alone with dark desires, tongues of erethic fire, set heart ablaze with her sight's inappropriate soul touch, releases chaos, power surge, through churning black filth, alive with mercurial death's bounty, ravenous for love's taste, hordes of dead reach out to touch the wound, gaze on image of lost love's perfect grip on the heart, twists it into excruciating forms of desire, doomed to fantasy's bloodless embrace of the burning heart of love, announces dismembered mental operations, hijacked imaginations, union beyond union merges hearts, unspeakable joy in her return. 6. An epigraph. Within the flower itself there grows the gnawing canker. Where honey is, there gall. Where swelling breast, there chancre. Michael Moore. Michael Meyer. Love's poison seeps through passion's weave. Nessus's shirt, secret gift to the imaginal field where desire's net hauls in two souls, dewy-eyed, celebrants of an old story shadowed by an older one they can't see, blinded by golden haze, suffuses eyes, loosens limbs, released into thinking of Aphrodite's sweet madness, blind to the elder power dwells behind, great Mother Cybele, lover of her own son, mutilated and killed by desire's spell, catches them up in its whirl, sweeps them into a dream of elated yearning of cosmic proportions, frantic release into roar of her presence, magna mater, lion-drawn chariot, wild music, ecstatic dancers intoxicated with her power, promises sweet meld in lovers' fused union, where others secretly recalled from death slip around the single pair, embrace them, wrap them in love's web, feed on them, bind them in numinous delusions of shadow fleshes, dream of repair, rejected rejection. Her and her and her and her flock to love's flame, love's fused self, love's dark jewel burns in heart's core's furious furnace. Need for touch, need to know, imaginary mouth gently encloses erect fantasy, sanctified passion's possession. Lick swollen, wet, unreal mound of creation feeds desire for more, for first beloved's incestuous touch. For her gold-flecked eyes still shine through glamour's steel breath, filled with sea surge across a table holds love locked in mingled, undifferentiated, imaginal, fused, fetal, libidinous, oceanic, elemental, mass roiling orgasms surge from beneath. Love's wave swallows both, one and one, one in one, release and flow, being through being, merge, words tangled, clutch and suck, whose mouth, whose fantasy slips into words, body, all the way in, till flesh and flesh leaves no in, no out, just passion's bliss bursts, explodes in around, heave of cellular sea crash, then darkness. Who it was, am been. 7. Who shows up for the wedding is never exactly known, though you can always count on Mom to spice things up, though even then, which Mom do you mean, that one or that one? And the beatific concubine, with gentle smile, gold-flecked eyes, brings more to the game than she knows. Her later claim, it was never about me, joins cacophony, rises through rent mind, reeks of sulfur, howls of pain, loss beyond measure, abandoned. But none of that now, in the wedding bed, where soft love eyes peer into each other via zeros and ones magic spell. Host lost in heaven's depths across vast distance of fantasy, weave mutual words in and out of poems, ecstatic bursts of caressed flesh on screen's lattice, worship at the altar of love's goddess, welcome her into figurative arms, imagination of another, stokes the flyer, smolders in Lauren Bacall's front seat kiss with Bogart. I liked that. I'd like more. Or Burt Lancaster and Deborah Kerr, lip-locked beast with two backs awash in wild eternity, roars around them, passion embraced with impassion. Though move over and make room for the rest of the gang, soon disturbs hot smooch in the surf, head over heels, indicating an uncertain lurch into a zone of unexpected intensity on love's field's uneven ground, stretches from sun to moon, where the difference in love involves agonies of desire, caught in chaos of tumbling water, while just plain love, which is in you, soon turns into deeply care, and then affectionately, which is nice and full of light and so on, but in a different league than caught in its grip, lifted high, face smashed into the sand, mouth and nose filled with grit and water, pinned, breathless, flipped 3 times and dumped in a school of undines that torment you with visions carried from depths, long harbored pain of love's dark absence, terrible mother of flowers, and the other one who fell in love with Otis, the shepherd, her son, wrapped him in passion, embraced his beauty, stroked his strong limbs, till he cut off his nuts and died. Which may explain the difference in, I think this means something different to you than it does to me, a formula whose evasive dissolution leads to head-spinning oscillations of world composition and eventual liquefaction of disordered orientational bipolar whack-a-mole jobs, endless caring. Seven. Oh God, everything overflowing, water swallows land, the house floating, heavy rain, ocean waves, snow melts quickly down, levees break, shocked, tossed, buffeted, gasped for breath, tried to keep my head above water with only a few inches or may cover a house to the rooftop within minutes or over a long period, days, weeks, longer, his empty, outstretched hand. The water took me away. The costliest impact residential basement flooding was a horrendous loud noise like a huge wall of bubbles swirling in my ears. Oh God, I never expected to die of drowning. Additionally, change in average sold price was negatively impacted where water rose and floated us until our heads touched the ceiling. It was dark and the house tossed every which way, the bodies of my 7 children floating around me in the gloom. Nine. Buttercup conundrums, broken connections, loves me not, though lack of, non-evasive, loves me, leaves an awkward residue, gums up mental action into eccentric orbital defibrillations, insane torrential onslaughts, oscillating, unspeakable, yes or no, or yes or no, or yes or no, or yes, or as churned waters reach the ceiling, no other human remains to witness. Undines swarm out of the dark, seductive fluid forms, desire's dream, whisper of love distilled into friendship, heart's connection, dark burning jewel held dear, but why or no or not? Why no touch, no shared mind, no air, no breath spark, no life, no unrestrained love, free of calculations, evasion, equals the 2 minds of that demonic dislocation robs the world of life, of touch, sucks out the juice, leaves only yes or no or hung, not just uncertain, but outside knowing, outside east or west, outside buttercups, thought of love. Southern epigraph from Emerson. O friend, my bosom said, through thee alone the sky is arched, through thee the rose is red, all things through thee take nobler form. Ralph Waldo Emerson, Friendship. Friends, let's be friends, harness love to jets of affection which make a young world for me. Friends, we can be friends, we can never speak, which is friends to so delicious as a just and firm encounter of two in a thought. Friends is friends, we can look at each other on the Zoom screen, no contact, friends, but friends is before her I may think aloud. Friends is no contact, friends go away, friends, but we can be friends, read comments in group chats, friends is good friends, is sublimated, love friends, touch in their hearts, friends, we can be friends, is a corner of group Zoom, no contact, but good friends, good friends, friends is simplicity and wholeness with which one chemical atom meets another. Friends is no contact. Let's be friends. Please be a person with whom I may be sincere. A friend is no contact. A friend is a head in a corner of a screen. Let's be (11) Joined is hard to leave when the spell breaks. A piece of her embedded in heart's tissue pulses hot and dark at the thought of imagined black hole left behind the surgical removal of all meaning. Where was she when he howled and terror, howled loss, howled rage? Was she fucking the plumber? Or just stirring a highball? Medication for the torment racked 21-year-old body and soul betrayed by desire to a cell with bars of screaming demand. She abandoned to its fear and fury, which holed up in a dark, cozy corner beneath to hang out and dream strange concoctions of love feature her many charms. In visions of the night, like dropping rain, to send the many memories of pain before the spirit's sight, through tears and dole come wisdom or the unwilling soul. Aeschylus. Hoo-ee! That is some stink, some truly foul odor oozing out of that collapsed glory, fantasy's dark glow, rotten fused desires, indistinguishable, disgusting mess. Maybe on the bed, like Monsieur Valdemar in Poe's dream of the horror of in-between life and death, melded and fused into meaningless lump till the spell broke, and upon the bed there lay a nearly liquid mass of loathsome, of detestable putridity, which sounds a lot like a vegetable drawer I once knew, not to treat death lightly, but one man's putridity is another's 3-week-old radish greens, the slime in both drawers speaking to inevitable broken merge, wedding bed become funeral beer, full of shit, which is also fantasy, but real, as in her disappointment, doused flames last, lingering heat, leaves half the party ready to move on, satisfied with the marvelous and rare alchemic wedding, now categorized, safely stored, hermetically sealed from contact with living being, the other half senseless with grief, rending and tearing, howling, an infant's long ago howl of mutilation and loss, of love beyond love, excised, buried, but never snuffed out, smolders in lingering heart's dream of deep touch, soul to soul, deathless in death's bed, where chthonic tumult churns, rises in despair and grief, impossible passion, irreparable shattered, heart shards everywhere, and unromantic contortions of ugly psychic torment, begs, grovels, whines, howls for heart's coarse touch, which, never part of the deal, snuck into bed without permission, putrefied with the rest of the mess, nuptials submerged in rising floods, incestuous mother cunt waters. Seven. No, 14. And what about the actual marriage bed remains a theme in progress, as they say, when the end eludes capture, and you just have to fake it, as they also say. Although to fake there, where the thing reeks of careless imitation, is different than to fake here, where it's like a music fake book. All you need to know to take off on your own in company of others who join you there. Each marriage, she said, a mystery. Though when marriage is a fortress against archaic, toxic passion, her need to take desire's hammer to the pain shell between her and love's arms, delirium of erotic fantasies, would-be incestuous union, madness, plants emptiness, vulnerable to sudden maelstroms, require orientations, recalibration of the mystery to include touch on hold, as if any separate address might break the seal on the furnace doors, release fire to consume world's numinous order slowly built out of tenuous gestures of the domestic sublime, gleaned from Emerson's meal in the firkin, milk in the pan, as if the whole affair meant this turning, recovered touch toward further faking's last chapter. Numinous parenthetical. Mercurius this, Mercurius that, who gives a shit when all that's left is the memory of a kiss that shook creation's foundations, gentle caress, the small of her back where smooth flesh still curves to paradise if you close your eyes and pretend. The place of tears dwells in love's root. Deep in darkness he stole her away to, held her there so that she knew death, wed death to her soul, and no flower, poppy, anemone, daisy, rose, escaped that knowledge's bloody stain, remains in the heart left behind, alone with the image of a face never again to be seen in love's light. Spiritual Valium looks very like a wall you run your face into first over and over till you think it doesn't hurt, or say the news you're no longer welcome in love's home, and you don't even care because you have a nice spot in the alley nearby. Ashes take no hostages shouldn't make sense, but still manages to leave every hope shattered. No tenderness untouched by rage's icy hot fingers faced with an empty world, and that love's death touches withdrawal into another story with no room for the heart that suffered broken union, a forced error, necessary outcome of desire's fire, leaves residue to deal with hole left by a world moved on without it. Love stands by the side of the road, thumb out, no destination in mind, tears from a recent dream having dried. this says 14. I don't know, the numbering's fucked up. Sorry. Here's another quote. Some say the half-woman Attis went mad shouting for lovely Cabell in the mountains. The Anacreontia, fragment 12. Breeze stirs mist off the bay. Breeze stirs mist rises off the bay, lit with moon's cold glow. Magic world teems with dreams beings along white path on dark swollen sheen, quiet surge below. Body's chthonic depths can be a royal pain in the ass, a proposition associated with desire's occasional maelstrom, released into the day shoves terror of alone, and where the hell are you into the catbird seat to wreak whatever passionate havoc they can on unexpected lives' tender touch. Quiet surge has been known to rise on occasion, connections yield more passion than expected, having brooded unknown in the deep, lay waste to casual constructions of normal. She gently touches your soul, and both are bound in a field of tender play where each finds desire's heart in the other's words. Balm of her love eyes soothes infant pain, leaves them at the mercy of her mad desire. For more joined than flesh can bear, union's murderous meld leaves nothing distinct behind. No you, no me, no you, no me, no world, no love, though it's declared as she backs toward the door and the shit hits the fan. 15. If terror births joy, or joy winds up in terror, don't freak out. You are among the chosen, if only you can build a container to hold them both, and the knowledge they bring of a world beyond marvelous fantasy, of a wedding somehow escapes foul deposit of pain and grief. No conjunctio worth its salt would dream of leaving out, as if love was ever painless, as if rage wasn't its dark, passionate twin. To trust them with your love, you must trust them with your anger. The passion flower, having unfolded a further bloom, this one a hellgate, pours out black churning chaos, shit tumult of lost selves. Prima materia's hunger and pain changes the name of the game, or just leaves it more clearly etched in tender flesh. That's the sign you've been looking for. The container is at hand, outside the garden, past the roses. 16. Soul making is a bitch, especially given the great deal death gets out of it. But what are you going to do when passion marks the last way out of spiritual cruise control's preset limit in quest of a little ecstasy amid automatic furniture's consistent posture's dream of containment? So go ahead, blow the lid off, kid. Her revenge on the world poured water on her fires, drowned her in a flood of demand stream from a fantasy claims the real for itself. Wounded, partial world, fathers bound her to, and she packed the kids in the back seat of Gypsy and headed for the super bloom she knew was out there. Eyes afire with anger and passion, refuses surrender, even when the earth splits amid the flowers and he drags her down into darkness, a hell of screaming beings. She would fuck them all, fuck her way out, burning with passion, blinded with salt. 17. Was it the long ago brief smell of flesh, rich with flowers and earth, or the smile tentative, open lips parted, words swollen with knowledge of soul, its work and trials, or sea surge in eyes fanned, banked embers, reached out and touched, and were lost in flared desire for more than they thought they had in their separate worlds, sank together in oozy depths of dream, swam for a while, entwined in shared minds, love of love, cradled by soft words, wove spells, in love's mind unfolding, love's damp limbs, close as smoke, animalic dream. Words gather, break, moan, a boy tumbles song into open lips, singing inside song, his inside woman parted, welcoming him into our small room. Fueled heat, till heat burst into flames, licked the walls, consumed it all, incendiary roar, a pyre lit in love's name, left love a black, smoking ruin. 18. Know that this is the only right and legitimate way of purifying our substance. Basil Valentine. Zeros love ones and ones adore zeros is an observation worth the price of another round for the house if this was a country and western bar, which it isn't. But if it was, zero would fall for one like a ton of recycled bricks, and one would be really hot for zero's manly ways, till she wasn't. Then songs of heartbreak follow, though whose heart and what's broken are up for grabs, echo around some desolate soul honky-tonk where one's dream of a chemical wedding twinkles in the gloom against the back wall under the miller's sign, and zero's monstrous hunger for union consumes the works in a conflagration of burning desire, and roiling confusion floods the program in vicious feedback loop where one's battered harmony is a senseless stutter of love, 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 as if it was an enormous band-aid she could erase the world's pain with. And you can tack on sending you love, though, after never write to me again, and it's all okay. And zero, lost in a delirious delusion of numberless love beyond love, clings to one as if one was the very meaning of everything, though he doesn't even know what one smells like. The tragedy of email love, surprised with primal eros in flagrante delicto. Flagrante providing blaze heats the vessel to temperature required for proper operation, has ones and zeros consumed in flames, leave only rendered white ash behind. 19. The blue-gray bay, slate, mirrors heaven's blue-gray ceiling, call it home. Falls blaze muted on the island offshore, heavy with calm death's assurance brings to the air. Her imminent arrival as black and white world emerges from within world's core, but not yet, while maple and oak, dogwood and poplar burn one final blaze of golden silver flaming passion, burns out as quiet settles into center's heart, bare, still, death's leafless beauty etched against slate sky, hieroglyphic myths of love's sweet touch, wrecked on stones by furious surge out of the north, rouses elemental powers known to raise it all in a spiritual danse apache turned dance macabre, leaves dancers stunned, bruised, bleeding beyond healing's airbrushed outcome, reeling from indelible knowledge of love's black sun, dissolves love eyes, neat, luminous world. Okay now, that's done. Everyone's in their place, in chaos, echoes of grief that is hardly human. '21. Orpheus. He filled the high heavens with the moans of his lament. Ovid. I never expected him to show up, not in this dance anyway, which has been all Aphrodite this and Magna Mater that, and suddenly here's this guy with a lyre on his way to hell for the sake of his beloved. But a moment's reflection yields obvious inhabiting vibes, especially if your mom looks like Calliope and ecstatic harmony of her voice is the first thing you know. Sets the bar high, if you know what I mean. In a world where leaning over to pluck violets can be deadly, what with Hades grabbing girls in fields of flowers, not to mention low down, no good snakes in the grass hang around and wait for a nymph to bite. And there she is, the source and soul of song, of joy, sea surge meaning in her eyes caress. Then she's gone. Excruciating excision of soul's beating heart. So he packs up his axe and heads down to fetch her back from Persephone's dark house. Singing his heart out, he trudged through hell to reach her, a source of romance for millennia to come, though her part in the story remains occluded. No one ever asked her if she wanted to go back, or if she had warmed to the queen of the dead, a woman of power in both realms, before whom even gods trembled. No one asked how she felt that the story was always about him and his stupid lyre. Some say he heard whispered words behind, called to him as the world approached. That last goddamned glance does it every time. NumInosum parenthetical. How do you stop picking at it, even after final silence descends and time-hardened love erodes, crumbles? From adoration to life-threatening travels a vector through multiple dimensions of psyche's strange regions, passions, rages, betrayals, blindness, lickety-split. Uncomfortably content and soulless, no contact friendship needs a little salt to counteract too much lunar reflection. What's missing leaves behind a complex logic of love, never again to be touched across a table. Healing's not the point when the black sun appears. You just hang on till it's done with you. It seems a corner of the world's gone dark.